Hello, welcome back to Beards, Bourbon, and Games. I'm your host, Mike, and with me I have a special guest, Muttnchop Piper.
Hello, how are you?
Today, he's going to help me review this game, Arcanos. Let's get into it.
Okay, today we're going to review a game called The Towers of Arkhanos, a game by Daniel Alves and Yuriko Kunha, distributed by IDW Games. Now, Mike, what kind of game is this?
First off, I'm glad you read that because I would butcher that. This is kind of a worker placement game mixed in with a dice strategy game. You're trying to build your towers up to get points because you're basically a wizard trying to get magic power and build your super base. Actually, Chris, do you want to read some from the book?
Sure. Okay, we'll start out at the very beginning here. After decades of searching for the most concentrated magic in all Dunagar's realms, arch-magician Arcanos finally discovered the ruins of Gil-Garoth. Reawakened and surging with power, the ruins soon drew the attention of magic schools from across the realm, each of them eager to spin off some of its mana for themselves. Choose a magic school and guide your your master and their apprentices in manipulating the mystic stones of the ancient Gil-Garoth. Build arcane towers to channel the power of past civilizations and release those powers to help you in this quest. But beware. Inattentive magicians can become imprisoned in the towers for all eternity. Gain the most prestige to rule the towers of this magical city. Okay, playing the game. To begin, the first player picks up the dice bag, pulls out 5 dice, or 4 dice, 3 players or more, at random, and rolls them. Then the first player takes their first turn. On your turn, you'll do the following. Place a die and meeple on a pillar. Take any rolled die from the table and place it on an empty pillar of a floor tile. Then take a meeple from your supply and place it next to that die. Second part of the turn, gain the pillar's bonus. Gain the bonus of the pillar where you place the die. And third is score the floor. If all 3 pillars of the floor tile are full, score it, and then build the tower's next floor. Then the next player, in clockwise order, takes their turn. Once there is only 1 die left on the table, the round ends. Place this die on the mana pool board on the space matching the current round. Then the first player passes the die bag to the player to their left, who becomes the first player for the next round. Begin the next round. And that's a basic rundown of how you play Arcanos. Now, this being our first review of a board game, we want to kind of explain to you our score levels. Our score levels are going to be 1 to 5. 1 being a game like checkers. 5 being like a game like Gloomhaven, something that is real massive and real in-depth. So kind of get an idea of how we're going to score this game, and we've got different things that we're going to talk about coming from the ease of play to components and things like that. So Mike, what's the first thing we want to talk about?
The first thing we're going to talk about is the hardness of this game. How hard is it to pick up? How bad would it be if I went to the store, bought this game, or ordered it, got it in, opened it up, went to play it? This game is about a 2 for us. It is not hard to pick up. The rules are very straightforward once you get to go, especially once you see it. It's very easy to get into the game and quickly play it, or teach somebody new getting into the game. I think when we played this first together, I spent maybe 5-10 minutes max.
Yes.
And then after we did the first round, you were like, oh, this game is very easy. It's a lot of fun. But it's not so fun. It's not so easy that there's no challenge to it. You still got to think about what you're doing, so we don't give it really a 1 there.
Do you think a family could play this game, a father and son or a mother and daughter?
I think very much so. I think families would be really good for this game. It's a very small footprint, too. There's not a whole lot of space. The biggest part is this mat, which actually doesn't come with the base game we'll get into later. It's a whole family could do it, from any age. I think a kid maybe 10 years old could probably pick it up,
Yeah,
which is
I agree with
great
that.
for a family board game night. Actually, I know some people who actually use this as a family board game.
So that's good. That's good. So what's next on the list?
Next on the list is aesthetics and quality build.
Um, I would give this a 4. Um, the components, the only thing that I think I would complain about on the components is the player boards are a little bit flimsy. They're still sturdy, but that's a minor complaint. Um, Everything is glossy. It's got a glossy covering to it. The meeples are very well made. They're made out of wood and they're painted very nicely. You've got the dice that are very quality dice. They're translucent, and I really like the way the dice look. You got basic chips here that come with, it's just basic cardboard. But the boards that create the towers are very colorful. They're very they've got numbers on them that are clear to read, and yeah, I think it's a solid 4. The dice bag comes with the game, and as you can see, it's a pretty good quality dice bag. So they didn't scrimp at all in this game. Like I said, my only complaint is that the player board's a little bit flimsy, but it's a very minor complaint.
I can see myself not paying attention and bend that in half. But the boards themselves, the tower, like you said, and there's all these little details
Yeah.
on all these. Like there's a bunch of mage devices and things on here that are very cool to look at. I agree 100% with a 4 out of 5 on this.
Yeah. All right, the next thing we're going to look at is the game mechanics. Mike, why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
I love the game mechanics in this. I love games that are simple to play but hard to master. That's kind of my thing with games. If it's something that I can go out and play and just have a good time, and if you know anything about me, you know I like my bourbon. So if I can drink a little bit and play a little bit at the same time and not get too overwhelmed, awesome. This game is just perfect for that. You have magic spells you can cast as you're doing things if you need to make things better. Just the fact of just rolling the dice and everybody having to pick a dice, and then the last dice goes here, that's your turn counter. It's just so well done. You definitely put a lot of playtesting into this game. You can tell. I haven't really had an issue where we've been like, oh, as far as I've played it, and I've played a lot of games of this, I haven't ran into an issue of, how does this work? You just kind of know that it works. It's a very solid game, very solidly done. What do you think?
I think so. I think exactly the same thing. Uh, it's it's not too hard to where you have to put a lot of thought into it, but then again, there are times where you have to put a little bit more thought into it. But it's not hard enough to where um, a, a child can pick it up. Like you said, around 10 years old or higher. But it is very challenging, and I like that. I really love the challenge of it because you don't know where the next player is going to position their meeple and their die. So I found, and I remember this distinctly. We played a couple of games of this, and I was eyeing one spot. I was like, man, I really want to put my die and my meeple there. I hope nobody puts it there. And sure enough, somebody else put their meeple or their die there. So I had to figure out something else other than that. But that's the cool part of this game is you're hoping that another player is not going to do something that you want to do.
Especially the spot that where you can place a meeple somewhere else. You don't get points for it,
That's
but
right.
you can block somebody
That's
for
right.
it. So
And that happened quite often.
It did. It happened to me, especially my wife. She did that a lot to us.
Yeah. Something else that we want to take a look at is the rule book. Now, I really like the rule book. As you can see, if you can see it from there, it's glossy. It's got some good weight paper to it, and as you can see, it is very well laid out. I like the pictures. It explains the game, tells you what you get, how to play the game, um, in a very regimented kind of way, to where it's very easy to pick up. What'd you think of it?
Oh, for sure. That's one thing about why the mechanics of the game were so good is the rule book was very easy about telling you this is what you have to do to play this game. I didn't feel like when I read through the rule book I was stumbling any. There was maybe one spot that was kind of weird, but it was because I was just reading it wrong. The cool thing about the rule book too is that it has all the languages in that book. That rule book is not that thick.
Right.
It is 4 or 5 pages. Yeah, that's
right
it.
here. So here's let's see, 1, 2, 3. There's 4 pages. Then it moves into the next language. So it's a 4-page rule book, which is fantastic for a game like this.
How long was this game?
I'd say it's about 30 minutes. Depending on if you have someone in your party that is a thinker and tries to think out, it may stretch into maybe 40 minutes, but about 30 minutes is how long this game takes. Once you learn it and you're putting down dice, everyone knows kind of what they want to do and they do it. Yeah, it's easily a 30-minute game.
Oh yeah, I think even our last playthrough with 3 players, it was maybe 20 minutes, just because we'd played a couple of times at that point, and we knew what we were going to do, and we were just talking and playing through the game. So
exactly.
Definitely not a huge time sink when you're wanting to do it. So again, perfect for family game nights.
And if you get together with a friend and you want something to do, and this game is perfect to pull out and whip out, 2 or 3 games in an hour or so. Yeah, this is one of those games that you want. Okay, so let's talk about replayability. What's the replayability of this game? Mike, what do you think about this thing?
I would give this, on a scale of 1 to 5, a 4. The game is very simple. It's very fun. Again, calling back to what I said earlier, it's simple to learn, hard to master. There's a lot of tricks and stuff you can do with it. But I can see where after you play, 30 times, you're like, I want to play something else. Because it is, again, a very simple game. It's not something like Gloomhaven where every time you go into it, you're going to get some different things or different choices. Eventually, you'll kind of get through all the combinations on the game. So still a long time before that would happen, in my opinion. Like, I am not bored with playing it, and I've played it for a very long time already. But I could see how a family, after playing it for a couple weeks, would be like, all right, let's shelve it for a little while and get something else.
Yes, that's exactly my thought too. A 4, it's a hard 4 for me for me as well. What it reminds me of is like Monopoly or Clue or one of those games where you bring it out and you play it a couple of times, and then you put it away, and then, I don't know, 3 weeks, a month later, you bring it back out and play it again. It's one of those games where it's kind of fresh. If you give it a little bit of time, it's fresh every time you bring it out.
And one great thing I will say about it is a 4-player game, 2 to 4 players, but they have released an expansion to take it to 5 players. So if you have a family of 5, you can play with 5 people. There's also a few other things in here. There's some other towers that have some special things that are different from the towers that are in here. But that's about it about the expansion. It is literally just let's jump this to 5 players and add some extra tiles. So the big thing with every board game is, can I get a hold of it? Chris?
And the answer to that question is yes. This board game is readily available. We looked online at Amazon, and this game retails for $18, about $18.07. So it's, again, you've got a fantastic game that is easy to pick up and easy to learn, and has a little bit of thinking to go with it. And the price, in my opinion, $18, that's pretty good for a board game. The only thing is you cannot get this mat. This mat, what was going on with this mat?
I got this game originally at Gen Con, and if you bought the game there, I think the creators of the game were there, if I remember correctly. And if you bought the game, they had these limited edition mats that you were able to get there. Um, my impression from them was that they were going to release these mats also eventually. I don't know what happened with that.
And you may be able to go online and research it, go to the makers of the game, the distributors of the game, and they may offer this playmat. But as far as the recording of this video, we're not sure if you can pick it up.
Hello, Future Mike here. I got to looking around after I was editing this video, and I found one of the mats. There you can find one on Miniature Market. There's a few other places. They run about $29 everywhere. It's not the same mat, but I guess this is the finalized mat they decided to go with. But yeah, just wanted to show you. So back to the video.
Or not.
Right.
But you don't need the mat. You can easily play this game just on a kitchen table or on a board game table. What about the expansion? What do you think about that?
The expansion is $21 on Amazon.
It's kind of odd.
It's very high. If you don't have a fifth person, maybe skip it. I bought it because I a lot of times on board game nights have a fifth person. So it was still really hard for me to pull that trigger at $21. Plus, we wanted to be able to see it for the review. And I thought there'd be more to it. I thought it would be like, oh, there's going to be a new mechanic or something like that. No. Oh, well, I mean, technically, I guess there is with different floor tiles, but it's not so much of a different mechanic that the game is completely different. It literally just adds a fifth player with some little extra floor tile stuff. So if you don't need this, you skip it. But I mean, honestly, if you got both of them together, I mean, you're looking at maybe $40. I mean, that's not too bad board game wise. I mean, board games can be pretty expensive. Yeah. But if you've only got 4 people, skip this for now and play the game.
Yep.
So with that said about availability, would you recommend this game?
I would highly recommend this game. I like the build quality. I like the colors. I like how easy it is to learn, but how challenging it is to play. Because it's easy to pick up, but the nuances and the competition between players, jockeying for different positions. You know, I want to put my dice and my meeple in this one place. Oh, I can't because another player did that. So now I'm going to have to rethink my strategy and figure out how to go a different way. That's just, I mean, for a game, it's fantastic. And another thing I like too is I've rarely seen a game where you have this type of setup where you complete the first floor and then the second floor you put on top of the dice of the first floor. That's really cool. I've never seen that before, and it's really a unique kind of aesthetic or mechanic for this game. So yes, I do. I definitely recommend this game.
What about your overall score? What would you give it overall?
Overall, get a 4 out of 5 because there are things about the game that they're nitpicky, but that's why it brought it down from a 5 to a 4. And really, in my personal opinion, nothing is perfect. So a 4 out of 5, I think, is a good score for this game. What about you? What do you think?
I have to agree completely. I would definitely overall 4 out of 5. And the things you said, you took the words right out of my mouth. The aesthetics of building it up. That's what caught my eye when I was walking down the aisles of Gen Con. It was, oh, what is that? And why are they putting things on top of dice? And oh, those are meeples. I love worker placement games. I love meeples. Meeples! And we stopped and played it, and I had to buy it right then and there. It's always one of the games that board game night comes around and, we want to play. Well, we got Arcanos. Oh, okay. That'll warm you up. You know, it's just overall a good game. It's a really good one to add to your collection because you can always play it. You can get to do it quick, and it's a good time. Well, that's all the time we have for this board game review. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you very much, Muttnchop Piper, for being here.
You're quite welcome.
We plan to do a few more of these. Let us know what you think. Leave us a comment down below. If you liked what you saw, give us a thumbs up, subscribe, ring that bell so I can annoy the crap out of you with more videos. But until then, we'll see ya.